Hi there, this is Executive Chef Joseph Schulze. Welcome to our kitchen. Today I want to share a recipe with you that is a little outside the norm, but a lot of fun to do, and the work is well worth it, I assure you. We're going to be making seafood sausage. Many of you may be wondering what on earth that is, but it literally is just like it sounds. We're going to take seafood and we're going to stuff it into a casing. The seafood that I have chosen for this one is scallop, cod, and shrimp. And feel free to use any seafood at all that you like. This just happened to be what we have in the freezer, and that's what we're going to utilize. So, first thing you're going to want to do with it is we're going to want to make our mousse. And the mousse is very simple. In our food processor, we're essentially just going to grind all of our product together. So, and what we have here, we have 2 pounds of cod, 10 ounces of scallops. The size that I have are 40/60s, which simply means that there's between 40 to 60 pieces per pound. Very nice. The smell of fresh scallop is incredible. Next, we're going to add 4 ounces of red onion Brunoise. Brunoise means, by definition, it is 1/8 inch cube. Street terms, you could just call it minced. Got that. We're going to take the juice and zest from 2 lemons. There. We are going to take 2 tablespoons of dill. I had dried dill in this one. Fresh is so much better, but both will work just fine. We have half a cup of fresh parsley. We're then going to add about 3 tablespoons of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of smoked black pepper, fresh ground. Then we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of Hungarian paprika. Hungarian paprika will come 2 different ways. You'll get a sweet or a csípos, which is hot or spicy. This is not the sweet. So now that we have that in there, we'll begin to process the mousse. So as it's going, it will start to thicken up. All the proteins in there will start to turn into almost a gel. It'll just immediately turn together like concrete. So I process a little just to get some of it working. We're going to add the egg whites. The egg whites are going to do a couple things for you when making a mousse. One, it acts as a binding agent, which will help pull things together. And number 2, it will also act as an aerator, which makes things light and fluffy. So I'll then begin to process with that. We'll stop it there, give it a little stir, and looking at the texture, it is nice and loose, yet it'll be somewhat gummy to where it's going to stick for you and then fill the casing nice. When you get into filling the casing and extruding, you need it to be liquidy enough that it'll come through the tube. However, if it's too thick, then it's just going to gum up on you and you'll have so many problems. So we did this, and now we're going to add our heavy cream to it. We're going to start with about 1/4 cup. A fair amount of the liquid had already come out of this, and I'm liking the consistency a little more. you'll want to process this to your desired texture. I like a little bit of chunk in it, just so there's some character to it when you're slicing it. But you could really make it as smooth as silk if you wanted to, and do further things like pushing it through a tammy or a fine mesh sieve to help make it even more smooth. We're not going to get into that, just a little too much work. And we'll give it another little blitz. And there we have it. Now to taste this, before we get into stuffing, if you want to taste your seasonings and see where you're at, what to do is take a small pot of water, bring it to a simmer, and then take a little spoon of this and drop it in there. Cook it for probably about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Make sure that the internal temperature is 165 degrees Fahrenheit, that is well done. Pull it out, cool it a second till you can handle it and taste it. Then go ahead and taste it. If it needs anything else to it, feel free to adjust here and then go ahead and make the necessary adjustments. Now that we have our mousse, we'll be getting into stuffing our casing. And now for the filling of the casing. As you can see, I set up the extruder with the tube, and the casing is already on it, leaving 6 to 8 inches or so overhang. That way when you're putting the material through, the auger pushes, it pushes the air out the other side. That way we don't get the big funky air bubbles. One of the biggest enemies of doing sausages is heat. With all the moving parts down inside the auger and the cutting blade and things when you're grinding, the heat is very bad, builds bacteria and things. So you want to keep the product as cold as possible, which may include running ice water, pouring it down through and allowing that to go through to keep the equipment cold. In the past, on larger volumes, I have used dry ice, just dropped it down in there. The great thing about the dry ice is that when it melts, it turns to a gas, so you're not making the filling too wet and sloppy. So it's a good little trick. I cooked and tasted some in the meantime to check salt levels and flavor profiles and things as such. At the end of the day, it was airy, light and flavorful as expected, almost like a loosely scrambled egg. It was really nice. It's going to make a wonderful sausage. I come up with a little trick that's going to help me continuously keep the product through the tube into the auger and allowing it to come out. And since we're looking to do something like this, I'm not too concerned with being fancy with coming out. As long as I hit a consistent diameter, no air bubbles in here, I'm a happy man. And then if I want to twist it into smaller links along the way, so be it. And let us get moving. So I want to start out on a little slower speed on 1, just until I can get a groove going. Putting my pastry bag tip down into here, and then squeezing this. And as it's coming out like that, we are now nearing completion of our filling. The only challenge with this is because the seafood has so much protein and how it's pureed, if you will, and put into like a mousse or a force meat. It is it's very sticky. So we have our sausage. So let's push that here. Not too bad. A little bit of air. Nothing great. So not too bad of a job. We have there. Here's our others. So the ends. One to do is we just twist the end off, tie it into a knot. I cut into the meat a little bit. That way I can ensure that there's minimal, if no air preferably, but if there is a little bit. So then, down at the far end, do the exact same thing on that. And there we have it. I'll trim this a little bit off there. And here we have our sausages, all stuffed in the casings and tied off. So, not too bad. Been a while since I made a sausage, but they came out pretty tight. This particular mixture is pretty soft. It's very fluffy, airy, and it's going to be a lot lighter than what you think. It won't be quite so dense. That's all I have for this. However, I do have some bonus information if you want to stick around. Okay, to take our seafood sausage and elevate it a little bit, we're going to take our Polyscience little smoke gun and we're going to smoke this. So what we'll do is we put our sausages around enough to fit under the diameter of the dome, and also would like to leave a little bit of a gap in between, that way smoke can better penetrate. So we will cover it up with the dome. We will light our wood chips. I'll put a little hand over top of this, and this will smoke. The smoke gun's really handy, and also offers, you have the option if you would like to have a lot of smoke or a little bit of smoke. And this one we're going to smoke a little longer, and because it's a delicate piece of sausage and not something hearty like a pork sausage or anything else, or lamb, something more dense and drier, that would hold up in a big conventional smoker. This, because it's so delicate, would require something like this. This, when you make this, you will see the texture of the sausage is so soft, it's not possible to hang it. That's, what we would traditionally do. So there we are, we have our smoke fully underway. And we're gonna give that about 30-40 minutes on that way. And see you in a little while. Our sous chef, Titush. Well, here we have it, our seafood sausage and a few ways to serve it. One we have where it was just lightly brushed with a little bit of oil. You sear it on medium heat in a pan, turn it one time, and then finish it in the oven, 450 degrees, about 10 to 12 minutes. Gets the nice caramelization and color on there, and it's very good. I like it that way. Maybe with some bread or parsley potato or mashed potato, anything like that would be fine, even rice. And then in a more elevated way, utilizing some beautiful things from the season, we have the seafood sausage with morel mushrooms foraged from my friend Scott, as well as the ramps, and that's a ramp vinaigrette. We also have some shaved Parmesan with a lemon zest on it. Well, I hope hope you enjoyed today's presentation and hope you get the chance to utilize it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and see you next time. Jo ett var jag.